Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. Shout out to the commenter who said, Ruben, please review Last Samurai Standing. I was way ahead of you. It was on my radar, but I hope you're happy. Let's jump into whether you should be watching this new Netflix series. In 1872, 292 samurais gather for a battle royale, lured by a 100 billion yen prize. Wooden tags are given. The last survivor reaching Tokyo wins. Sujiro Saga participates to save his sick family. A dangerous game of survival on Journey. This is Japanese, but it's going to remind you of things like Squid Game, Battle Royale. If you took a little bit of both of those and set them in the samurai days in the 1800s, just when there's this influence of Western culture, so you're getting guns and kind of another culture infiltrating, making the loss of the samurai art or just samurais themselves being a bit redundant. And so what you get is a bunch of ronin. Their riches are taken away from them, their status is taken away from them, and you have all these skilled swordsmen basically who have no way of surviving. And then to like double down on just the horribleness that is their lives at the moment, there is a huge outbreak of cholera and a lot of young ones are dying, wives are dying, men are dying, people are just dying because we don't have the medicine, or they don't have the medicine then than we do now. And so that just creates this boiling pot for someone to play their spidery games with, and in comes that kind of familiar plot, of the big people with lots of money dangling a big pot of gold for people to come, and at the end of the day they're going to try and do anything to get that money, because it means the difference between life and death, when poverty and sickness means that the skill that you have no longer is required, and the only way for you to save your family is to kill other people. You might do that if that is your one skill, especially if kind of pushed into the forefront of, hey, you might be doing this to protect someone. And so what we get here is a band of unlikely heroes, a samurai, a shinobi, a young girl, a couple that don't know how to fight. And then you get a backstory with our main protagonist as he's trying to get money for his family. But way back when, there's a little bit of backstory given, well, quite a bit of backstory given to how he became as well trained as he did. And that story interconnects beautifully throughout the episodes. The fight scenes here are done really well, and they feel somewhat authentic. I'm no historian, but the way they hold their sword, the way they sheath their swords, the various different types of fighting styles that you get. And yeah, I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotai, loving that. And this feels like it's very authentic into what they've created here, from costume just design, aesthetically looking. Of course, it is larger and more Hollywood. I don't want to say like that as a bad thing, but it creates this color palette of all of those old school movies you've seen, like the Seven Samurai, or even those later films where you are showcased of a mix of cultures, but you want to see how well the sword fighting styles are. So you have these movements that are slowed in some moments, but then other times it's just frenetic chaos on screen. And so it plays like that between each fight sequence that we get. And then, of course, there's going to be these, I guess the pacing, the movement of the story is going to be something that you can probably guess where it's going. You know who's going to fight who when. Unfortunately, this is chapter 1, so the big, larger arc isn't complete yet, but you do get a couple of boss battles, and they're really well done. Epic rain scene battle fights in amongst fireworks. You've got the dude that is so scary that he is the MacGuffin bad guy that's pushing our heroes on, even though there is a larger politics involved as to why the samurai need to be wiped out. There is this one dude with a bell on his sword that is so terrifying. Every time he's on screen, you're wondering if anybody's going to survive a fight with him. In amongst the other characters of other stylistic fighters, you got that big brute with a sword that looks like big enough for a Final Fantasy character. You've got the one that comes from a noble house that has amazing skills. You've got our main protagonist who is an amazing swordsman but has PTSD. all of these caricatures of things that you would find in TV series and movies that we've had, especially games. It is that pure escapism, but then it has quite a bit of heart, and you are given a reason to be rooting for these characters. So the pacing makes it a very easy binge watch. I did watch this all in one sitting, but it also is going to leave you somewhat frustrated as to where the story ends. But I think it's going to leave you satisfied enough because you get the two big climactic battle sequences that we've been kind of gearing up through the whole series in this, and it doesn't leave you wanting because the way they showcase that is beautifully done, well choreographed, great costume designs, and just menacing bad guys. So it's really easy to root for our broken characters when the bad guys are so evil themselves. Never mind the kind of political nature of the outer story. The ones with what's happening with your characters are where you're going to care about the story. So much fun. I'm just gutted that this is being split up. I understand Netflix does this. They do 2 or 3 parts now because they want the watch time. It's the way they get people to come back. Stranger Things next season is split up into 3 parts, I believe, all fairly close together, but it's the way they get people to continue, basically paying their money to get the viewership up. So I totally understand it. But as someone that loves this story, I highly recommend you watching it, putting it on your watch list. Maybe you will find a couple of other tidbits in here that I didn't mention, but it's kind of like a surface review, because if I go any deeper into some of those characters, there's going to be some spoiler moments, and I want you to enjoy. I want to know in the comments, what was your favorite episode and fight sequence? Who's your favorite character that you are rooting for to survive these sort of Hunger Games Battle Royale games? It's a long journey, drawn out, but it never feels like it's long because the pacing is crazy, the battle sequences are awesome, and the music and the costume design kind of help to heighten the tension and authenticity of what you're watching on screen. So although it is quite hyper stylized and might not be 100% historically accurate, that's not why we watch these. This is for escapism and great acting, and you do get that. Great martial arts, good acting, and guys to root for. Easy watch. I'm going to give this 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5. I probably would have put it up a bit more had it all come out together at once. But for now, definitely jump on this. I think you're going to love this. Do let me know in the comments which was your favorite episode, who's your favorite character, and what is your favorite Battle Royale-esque movie or TV series that we've had of late. I know Squid Game was up there for the games and people surviving, but I do really like that original Battle Royale movie. It's great. Seven Samurai, kind of mimicking this. A more modern one, Last Samurai with Tom Cruise. I know a lot of people don't like Tom Cruise as a person, but that film is fantastic. Shogun, there are so many that are great to mention. Leave your list down in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.